Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a college football analyst for ESPN now.
Oh, wow. Really?
Founder of Pate State. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Josh Pate's College Football Show from On3 Sports and Yahoo Sports, still a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Pate. Pate, what up, dude?
I watched what you watched last night. You just hit on, I think, the underrated storyline of college football the past decade. So you're talking about all these state of Florida teams. You sit next to Saban every Saturday. Last title he won was the 2020 year. You know he won that with a defensive backfield made up entirely of starters that they got from South Florida because none of the South Florida kids were staying home. Ohio State's roster has been littered with South Florida kids. Clemson, Georgia, they all go into Florida. Not because those kids are dying to get out of the state per se, but because for the past decade, Florida, FSU, Miami, combinations thereof have not been able to present a viable path to play for a title to those in-state kids. So you're right. If the wheel on that ship has started to turn a little bit, it's the biggest story in college football. Not just because you may have 2 or 3 premier programs back. Think about what it does to pluck 2 or 3 premier players per recruiting cycle off the rosters of the other contenders. Because that's been the dynamic shift the last decade in the sport.
Who was the name of the guy that had the yachts and thoughts and ended up on a cot, eating 2 hots in a cot?
Nevin
Shapiro? Yeah, Nevin Shapiro.
Is he back? Does Miami have money? Does Miami have the money to be able to keep up with everybody? Seemingly. I mean, they've paid a quarterback now back-to-back years, but do they have enough money to be able to keep up with the likes of the Big Ten?
Dana White was on the sideline too.
Yeah, his daughter goes there. Already just checked her in. He's become a Miami guy. Do we know that information about every team before we go into the year? Because it feels like that is the piece of information that we need as we project what the future looks like for all these parties.
Yeah, so I'd say yes, tentatively already to your question. Then I would say you've got just an utter assassin as your head coach who also happens to recruit 25 hours a day. But I've always thought of Miami kind of like I think of USC. Like if you ever were to get the forward momentum, you saw who was in the stands last night at that game. You know how deep their pockets are. You just got to convince these people that, hey, ball's moving. It's starting to roll downhill because then everyone wants to put their sticker on it. They won't all have the rub with it. It's just they happen to have deeper pockets there. So if you initiate Miami, which they've already got a lot of money, but if you really initiate South Florida behind the cause of Miami football, yeah, it's a runaway freight train.
I'll tell you what. Florida boys are good at football.
Yeah, they are.
They certainly are. And everybody was really feasting on South Florida. I still think the big money schools will be able to, but if Cristobal can keep the boys home, I mean, why not? And Norvell is able to just turn over a team and make them big, fast, and strong. And then Napier's got his culture set in Florida. Is Florida a good state of football?
Come on,
congratulations. It was must-change television whenever Florida was on there for a while. Must become must-watch. Let's go to another top 10 school. Go ahead, Tone.
Yeah, Pate, another top 10 matchup we watched on Saturday night was LSU heading to Clemson. Did we get bamboozled by Clemson again? You know, all the returning production. Did that make us forget that they haven't beat an actual good team in probably the last 3 or 4 years? Or do you think LSU is a really, really good football team?
Both are probably true. Tone, let's be careful when we say we. Because I backed off of Clemson a little bit the closer we got to the season. Yeah. You made a point, though, that it kind of extended itself into this LSU game. So Clemson last year, great year. Everyone thought they'd build on that this year, and you returning starters, sometimes an overrated stat, by the way. If you return guys who have reached their ceiling, you're just banging your head against your ceiling again. So they faced 3 SEC teams last year. They go 0-3. They go 14 of 40 offensively on third down against them. They then go 3 of 12 on third down against LSU. So they're like 17 of 52 on third down against highest levels of competition they face. They can't scale up. They can't scale their competition level. So what we're probably looking at, just until I see otherwise, we're probably looking at a team that is absolutely capable of doing what they did last year, banging on the door of a playoff spot. Who knows? Maybe they win the ACC again. I'd be very careful of that trip down to Georgia Tech in 2 weeks. But I think they're capable of what they did last year. I just don't know that they're capable of anything more than that. Your eyes play tricks on you every summer. You open that preview magazine and you see X number of returning starters, and then you watch a quarterback coming back. Oh, he's got his same offensive coordinator, same system, same head coach, best receiver room they've had there in quite a while. All of those things are true. You convince yourself that means things just scale up another 20%. Sometimes you just are who you are. Ironically, he may have himself, Cade Klubnik, in the same mess that Nussmeier was in last year. Nussmeier was a good quarterback for LSU last year. He had no run game. And the other night, Clemson had no run game. And if that's the case, it's unfair to put those guys in a position to just expect them to, mount up and shoulder the entire load. Nussmeier threw 12 picks last year because they couldn't run the ball. Cade had a really good touchdown to INT ratio last year. This year, my instinct is if they can't run the ball any better than they did the other night, you're going to see him more turnover prone, which will lead to, is he a bust conversations? No, they're just putting him in an unwinnable position if that's the case.
Yeah, desperation will lead you to throw the ball into double teams and shit like that is what I believe Josh Pate is talking about at this exact moment. They need to run the ball with Dabo. Did you see him?
Yeah. Man.
He came out. Hey, that was one of the better hill runs.
It was.
I've seen. I mean, that thing was tucked in. The pants were up to the belly button. But he was really striding. How old is Dabo? Can we look up how old this man is?
35.
How old are those hip flexors? Check the hip flexion. His stride length has not shrunk. His stride length is still every bit the same as it was 10 years ago. And you know good and well he works on that.
55 years old with those hamstrings? Woo! Those are 55-year-old hamstrings.
Good gate.
He played. Yeah. 55 years old. You're not supposed to be full. I mean, you're talking he was striding out.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but even more forward lean. That thing is like Cedar Point's best roller coaster.
Yeah,
now,
of course.
It's not Kennywood. It's not
Really?
Kennywood.
I saw someone from Kennywood this weekend. Do they have some sort of event or something?
Yeah, there's a ride outside, too. It's called Keep Your Head on a Swivel.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was.
Sue us. We like the booze and fight.
Yeah, sorry. Welcome to Kennywood.
They will if you booze and fight.
They shut it down, actually. They shut down Kennywood 21-plus nights because there was 6 straight nights of fights. So.
That lady's voice. Hurry up, let's go so we can get on a ride. So good.
Inside jokes here, Josh.
Great, because I'm from rural Georgia. I know nothing about what you're talking about. It sounds great, though.
It's just really poopy roller coaster, and there's a fight at it this weekend.
It's an amusement park called Kennywood. Actually, here's the hat. Thank you. It's in Pittsburgh. It is the greatest amusement park in the country outside of Disney something. So if it has Disney before it, it ain't keeping up with it. But if you want to have a good time with the family, go during the day.
Yeah.
You keep that family out of there at night. You keep that family out of there at night. I'm going to tell you that. Go ahead, AJ. Back to Pate. Sorry about it, bub.
Yeah, Josh, obviously everyone's talking about Arch Manning and how he performed against that Ohio State defense. What do you think of Arch's performance? How's he going to do the rest of the year? But also the Ohio State defense and Matty Patricia, what he was able to do with some of these guys that have not played a ton of football so far at the college level. Like, what do you make of Arch, and what do you make of this defense Ohio State has?
Yeah, I almost wish you asked the question in reverse, AJ, because a lot of people are leading with Arch. Arch is not the story here. Ohio State's defense is the story. I got to be real with you. There were 2 instances this Saturday where I looked and I said, if you didn't know any better, but you just knew the storylines, you wouldn't know which team is which. Bama FSU is one of those, which we can talk about whenever. But this one right here, like if I tell you one of these teams just won a title, then they're replacing both coordinators, huge chunk of their roster. That's an operation that is ripe to have a reality check, especially against a hungry team, equally as talented, still on a mission, got Arch Manning as your quarterback, and they stoned him. Made him so indecisive. I'm standing there on the field. It was one of those games where if you just watch the quarterback, don't even follow the ball, don't even look at the secondary, don't look at the line of scrimmage, you can tell he's got time to throw. Either he's missing wide open guys or there's a blanket over that Texas wide receiver core, mostly the latter instead of the former. I don't think they have the kind of speed at receiver they did last year. They can play that in the building all they want to and let it echo through the halls. They don't have the kind of speed they had in their wide receiver room last year. So they're going to have scheme guys open a little bit more. But, dude, there should have been something. Imagine this time last week if we had Sark just like quad box him here and we said, hey, you're going to hold Ohio State to 14 in the shoe. Will you take that? He would have signed his name on whatever dotted line he could. And it wasn't enough. That was pretty surprising to me, dude. Ryan Day has gone from people questioning whether he's the guy for his own job like 7 months ago to he's a genius. He was always the same guy. Nothing's changed about Ryan Day. He was always the same guy. It's just his Wikipedia page is different.
He's thinner. He's in much better shape now. He's in much better shape now. Tighter clothes. We all saw it. We all know what we're talking about. But he is in such great shape right now.
Pat, can we please, someone needs to air this out nationally. There is a big difference in hard nipple versus nipple ring. There's a big difference.
No, that's not us. We don't need to be doing that.
Take the next one.
You go to somebody else and do that whole thing. We just know that he was jacked up. And how could you not be? He had chills.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, like Dewey.
He had goosebumps. How could you not?
Who also is slimmed down.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson looking very thin. He looks like he's becoming like an Iron Man type thing.
He might be.
Hey, Rock, whatever you're doing, you look great, Bob.
Might be working out together.
You look good, maybe. You talked about the Alabama FSU game. You don't know who's who. That's a good time to talk about this. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Pate. How much do you think Kalen DeBoer needs to be worried about keeping his job this year? Right after the game, we saw that hey, his buyout $70 million. Are we looking at hey, Alabama needs to go to the playoff this year, or he's likely out, or how do you see this whole situation panning out?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know where we are with him. I mean, that's my national championship pick. You think Saturday was bad for Bama? Imagine picking them to win the title, and then that gets thrown in your face. I think the new reality of college football, is for big-time programs, Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, etc., you're used to there being a really high floor. So, like, the worst case under Nick Saban ever was going to be 9 wins. Kirby at Georgia, worst it could ever get is like 8 or 9 wins. That's what you think. That's not the reality anymore. So you're driving down the interstate still, same interstate, but there's no guardrails, there's no median. It's just edge of a cliff both ways. Florida State found this out last year, by the way, where if a tire falls off, there's no limit to how bad it can get. Like, you think Bama can't miss a bowl game. They absolutely could miss a bowl game, or he could get the ship righted. But your question is, does he need to be worried about his job? Dude, he needs to be worried about the competitive character of his team. There's a big difference in, Arch Manning, a little inaccurate. Or, your guys miss assignments, they drop balls. Like, the fundamental competitive character being called into question, running backs stoning your linebackers in basic run fits, can't shed that stuff, turning down blocks in some cases, dropping balls left and right, not because you just misjudged it, but because you maybe turned it down over the middle of the field. That's like non-negotiable stuff. That's stuff you took for granted under Nick Saban. It's stuff I take for granted, frankly, as a viewer from every major program. So that stuff, if it doesn't get corrected, I don't even know what the answer is. Like, $70 million is not even a real number to me. That's monopoly money. We've just been so accustomed to being able to do that with these big-time programs. I don't know that you can do that right now.
Josh, I don't know if you saw, obviously, the pictures of Coach Saban's office and then Kalen's office, obviously drastically different. And then Kalen, the way he goes about doing stuff versus how Saban goes about doing stuff, multiple different ways of doing things. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that had to happen. And following Coach Saban in Alabama would be like trying to follow Coach Corso on College Game Day. That'd be a very, very difficult task, I think, with all parties. Let alone the fact Saban still lives there, still has an office in the building, and obviously is still very prevalent in college football world because he is great on television on College Game Day. So everything he's saying on College Game Day, Alabama fans are like, yep, that's what's being said, hopefully, to the boys. That's what's being said right now, because that's what it has been. But what Kalen DeBoer is doing is trying to build his own legacy at Alabama. And he's going to be compared to this guy, who is not this guy is out of some never-ever land.
Yeah,
this guy. Unbelievable competitive stamina and an incredible ability to lead, adapt, evolve, listen, let alone gut decisions. Just in the moment, being able to make a decision that nobody else. I'm changing quarterbacks halftime national championship, actually. Bang, putting another guy in here. Multiple times I'm going to do that, actually. And then let alone who goes where, how he recruited. It's like Kalen had a very tall task of becoming an SEC coach to begin with, okay? That's tough conference. From Washington coming in there. But then to follow the guy, actually, and then now he is the guy on TV for college football, seemingly an impossible job. Is he going to be able to? He's had success. When he was a D3 coach, had success. Indiana had success. Washington has success. We assume he's going to win, but is that the right assumption, I guess, would be the question for you, who's kind of down in the middle of it all down there in the South?
I had the same assumption. I still think the dude's a stud. Like, I think he's a winner. I mean, I've sat in that renovated office and point blank asked him, taking over for a legend. Not the stuff you say on TV, like, we're off the record, just shoot with me. That guy's got a lot of intensity. He's got the right mentality. Like, the right mentality is this. All right, in college football and sports for a long time, that thing you just said has existed. 99%ers out there say, boy, you don't want to take over for a legend. Well, 99%ers aren't qualified for the Alabama job anyway. So by default, you have to be a 1%er. You have to be different. You have to mentally be wired a little different. He is. The big secret in college football has always been, you don't want to take over for a legend because of the situation the legend left. Paterno at Penn State, forget about the off-the-field stuff, just him on the field. Yeah, he was a legendary coach, but the program had waned by the time he stepped away. So if you took the Penn State job, if you took FSU post Bowden, you were taking sky high expectations with a rebuild on your hands. Saban's last game at Alabama was a playoff game. So he left a pretty full cupboard. He left a really good situation. So guys like DeBoer look at it and say, well, I mean, forget about the expectations. Forget about people saying take over for a legend, this and that. I think I'm really good too. And so I look in the mirror. I think if I'm given the right resources, I can build my own legacy. And I think he may have taken a dive into the SEC waters and realized, boy, there's something beneath those shark fins. Like, yeah, there's a little something more to this conference than I thought there was. But more so than that, dude, Pat, if you're just getting out executed, if you're getting beat by 3 at the gun, that happened to Saban occasionally. It's not that. It's the non-negotiable stuff. He didn't have to question this at Washington. You didn't have to question toughness about his Washington teams. So that's what I wonder about. That's why it's such a mystery to me. I went and watched him scrimmage twice. I went and watched him in spring. I watched him a couple of weeks ago. I had no inclination that FSU result was even possible. It was
maybe just bad day. Rain was hard, you know. Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer were out there shirtless.
Sure.
You know, maybe it's just a bad night. Maybe just laid an egg on opening night. Maybe they just didn't have energy on opening night. Maybe they just didn't have maximum focus on opening night. Maybe that's just what it is. Maybe this is the one game, breakfast ball.
Yeah, breakfast ball.
Maybe they need a breakfast ball. Should we give up on Alabama or no?
No, I'm not going to give up on them. But look, hey, God gives us 11 more games. So if you're right, you'll see it. Like they got Wisconsin coming in. They go to Georgia in less than a month. So if that's just a one-off, which I have suspicions about, but let's just grant the floor to you. It is your show. If it's a one-off, we're going to find out really, really quickly.
I don't think it's a one-off. I am just living in hypotheticals.
Sure.
I did not like what I saw either.
No.
And I don't think that's just something you can fix, which is why I say some things about some players in the NFL, and people get mad at me for pointing out the obvious, and then they say, still can change. It's like, I don't know. That feels like something that you either got or you don't. But if the team can flip the script after getting embarrassed by Florida State, who might be all the way back, maybe Kalen DeBoer makes his own legacy diner. Maybe he's got a DeBoer Street diner.
That'd be cool.
Maybe he's the GOAT diner.
The Boulevard?
Yeah, maybe it is the Boulevard. Right down Kalen the Boulevard right here. Yeah, that would be great. Kalen the Boulevard.
Boom.
Yeah, that is a great street name. I mean, that would be fantastic. Let's go back to the Big Ten. You talk about the SEC, how there might be some things underneath the shark gills. You know, obviously in the South, very competitive for every recruit. A lot of recruits from the South. We understand that. The North has the national championships, and the North has a lot of money. Let's go to a school that seemingly has more than anybody could imagine or anybody actually gives them credit for. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, Josh, Penn State obviously feels like they're all in. Everyone's talking about them, everything they're doing, the resources, whatever, everything about it. Is James Franklin, is this the year he finds a way to go and win those big primetime matchups, I guess, that we've seen him kind of fall short in the past?
He better do it. That's a weird kind of pressure, by the way. They're two kinds of pressure.
Or what? They're not going to fire him, though, Josh, right?
No, that's what I'm saying.
He doesn't, right?
It's a totally different kind of pressure. There's the job security pressure, which is win or you're fired. And then there's just flat out competitive pressure of I could be the Penn State coach for the next 30 years. I won't be able to win championships all those 30 years. This is a year I could win a championship, and I don't know when it's going to come around again. Maybe I'm wrong, man. Maybe they could do it every year, but I do view this as sort of a window year. Look, they're embracing it. They're all in on it. We went up there a couple of weeks ago. They are not shying away from that at all. They went and hit the portal for receivers, which, and I agree with them on this, they thought was the one missing link between them and being dynamic enough to make plays like Miami did last night. Just a few plays, 50-50 balls, turn into 70-30 balls. You win 23-17 on the road in Columbus one of these times. I think they have the pieces. They're smart, by the way. While all the rest of these folks have bullets flying left and right, they're up there playing Nevada, favored by 5 touchdowns. They got a couple of tune-ups. Then they got a bye week. Then they got Oregon coming in there.
Got a preseason, boys. That's smart.
That almost makes that you got to win that game. It's the Ohio State game down the road, and you're going to go to the playoff no matter what. I have no idea how Penn State misses the playoff, but there's like 2 hurdles he's got to clear. One of them's winning those big games. The other one is at least getting to the national title game, and at that point, you got to win it. I don't know, but yeah, I do think they got the mixture of talent to do it.
I like Drew Aller bouncing back and playing well instead of crumbling, you know? Like, that sucks that's how his season ended last year. In the biggest moment, a lot of eyes. I forget what the ratings were, but it was at least 13, 14 million people watching him throw a terrible ball. Pick. Yeah. This thing's over.
Game, probably.
Yeah, I mean, they should have won that. I mean, And then he's got to sit all offseason up there in Penn State, walking around, going to class. Oh, there's a big, tall dipshit at Lacoste.
You blew it.
Thanks, buddy.
You working on your slants?
He's trying to go out and have a drink in one of these restaurants. All these restaurants are right on top of each other. Obviously, Happy Valley, very, kind of a smaller area. He gets out, just gets done having a little bit, maybe a acai bowl or something like that. Hey, why don't you stop eating and go practice throwing a football? That's happening every day of his life afterwards, as somebody that can speak kind of from experience. And it's like, which way do you go? It's like, if he steps up, that's huge. There's a quarterback, though, for South Carolina that every football team in America is looking to get to him. I saw a lot of NFL teams pulling for him. I also saw some XFL teams pulling for him. I think even some G1 teams were trying to get him to potentially lead the way.
North Sellers, on Sunday, kind of led off the entire game against Virginia Tech. They walk right down. He looks massive. He looks fast, and he threw the ball about 100 yards to Nick Harbor in the air. Why shouldn't I believe that Lenore Sellers is going to win the Heisman, and why isn't South Carolina being talked about as one of these teams that is going to compete for a national championship? I know they're definitely being talked about as a playoff team, but when we're talking those, top 4 teams, do you see South Carolina making that run this year?
Yeah, they can. I mean, that's just foreign language. People have this preconceived notion in their mind, frankly, about a lot of programs that they need to reprogram because the sport has changed. And so when you get an alien as your quarterback, you got another one out wide, by the way. I mean, when your fastest player on the field is 6'5", 235, and spells his name Nick with a Y, you just need to pay attention to him. So that guy has learned to catch the football now, which was so funny. Like, what you asked the key about Nick Harbor at wide receiver. What does he need to learn to do, dude? If he can learn to catch, man, he's gonna be nasty. Well, he can learn to catch.
All-American track.
Yeah, you got Lenore Sellers, who I know a lot of people are doing the NFL draft talk. Like, I stick to college football. I think he could be the best player in college football. They may have the best offensive and defensive players, respectively, in the SEC. This is not Alabama or Georgia. This is the University of South Carolina that we're talking about. And they knew they had them. My only question throughout spring is, why didn't they go attack the portal at wide receiver more? Like, who do they have behind Harbor? So to answer your question, the thing that would keep him from winning the Heisman is supporting cast. But as the deeper we got into fall camp, all these people from South Carolina, they kept telling me, dude, watch out now. Our wide receiver room's underrated. Week 1, I don't necessarily know that I saw that, but that's okay. It's week 1. If even a fraction of what they said is true, and that dude just is who he is, you're looking at probably the Heisman Trophy winner this year. And if that's the case, you got a ceiling on South Carolina that's way like up here off the screen somewhere. Someone's going to have to deal with them. If they don't win it, someone has to have beaten them. And it's just crazy we're talking about South Carolina like this. They haven't hit their ceiling, by the way. That was a week 1 version of them. So there's probably still some upward mobility with them as well. And that's a place that's gotten told forever. Those are players that got told, we don't quite have room for you here. So go to option B. Like, South Carolina was an option B for some of these guys. Those defensive guys that went in the draft last year, those weren't all former 5-star top 10 guys. Those were other teams' backup options that Shane Beamer and his staff took, developed them, pumped them to the NFL, and now, lo and behold, they've backfilled, which you're not supposed to be able to do at South Carolina, and they shut a fairly good, desperate ACC team down week 1. So now they dive into conference play. And now that's just another of those teams, stack of pancakes, of these teams in the SEC that they may not be elite, but they're really good and they're tough outs.
South Carolina team, remember, end of the year, they had a little bit of a gripe to get into the playoffs. And instead of making big noise, Shane Beamer said we're just focused on our bowl game. They had everybody play in the bowl game. It wasn't like they weren't going to play. Shane Beamer, we showed that the punt return there. It's like they're always going to play Beamer ball in all 3 phases, which you can steal a win in college ball, or you can lose a game in college ball through special teams. And it's like they're going to be locked in there because they have so many great athletes. And the state of South Carolina creates some freaks whenever you talk about athletic ability. So if Shane Beamer can become the school of the Carolinas, especially down there in front of a great fan base. When we were down there, I mean, it's hot as shit. It is thick down there. Atmosphere. It is very thick
football
down there.
Town, though.
But it is a football town.
Yeah.
Is a football town down there. I hope they're able to pull it off. That moment between Shane and Frank afterwards was beautiful. All right, let's talk about tonight's game. Obviously, week 1 wraps up in Chapel. Bill, go ahead, D-Budge.
Yeah, go up to North Carolina. I expect, Bill Belichick's team to be prepared. What I don't know is who these players are. I know 70 new players, but what are the expectations for this roster? And can you tell me something about some of these players on this Chapel Bill roster? And we'll see Don that baby blue tonight.
All right, everyone check in here. This is your North Carolina breakdown.
Okay.
I got no clue. I have no clue who any of them are. I'm not sure.
This guy's new to ESPN. This is not what he's normally like. He normally has all the answers.
No, it's Pate.
He normally has all the. I want people to know that are watching for the first time. Maybe not a lot of people maybe seeing Josh Pate for the first time. As you've seen thus far, has all the answers. Very well versed in all things college ball. Now, when this pops up here, one of the biggest conversations of the Week 1 season.
Only game tonight.
Only one on Monday Night Football here.
That's it.
Okay. He says, "Let me tell you, I got nothing." I don't think anybody does though, Josh. Isn't that kind of the thing?
Look, if I flashcarded that roster in front of that coaching staff, do you think even they're just rattling off all those names? Absolutely not. Hey, TCU is one of however many teams are in the Big 12. Every one of them thinks they can win that league. TCU is one of them. They're one of these teams that, like the sneaky better types out there that are getting down legit money in May on team totals. They were big on TCU. And most people don't know anything about them either. I happen to know a little more about TCU. It's a perfect stage for them. It's going to be all about Bill Belichick, all about North Carolina. Like, this is the one shot that a Big 12 team gets on a real premier eyes of the world stage on it. And North Carolina is such an enigma, but yet I watched Matt Patricia do what he did the other night, so it's not like I'm sitting here dumb enough to say, I don't know Belichick. I don't know if he can coach these college kids. I just don't know the caliber kid he has. Patricia's got freaks everywhere. I don't know that Bill Belichick necessarily is dealing with that in year 1 at North Carolina.
All right, well, we'll watch tonight. Part of the kickoff show. Can't wait to get down there.
We'll all find out.
We will all find out. And we will judge accordingly.
Is Ernie down there?
What?
I don't know. I hope so. Night 1, Ernie will be down there.
He'll be tired. He'll be tired.
He'll be down there.
Oh.
I think Lombardi and Ernie both on headset.
Yep,
for sure.
Up in the booth. It'll be good to see them.
In a blimp, maybe?
Hey, did you see that Cal kid? He's the one. Sagapolatele?
It's tough to pronounce.
Sagapolatele?
Yeah, it's tough for me. Hey, he's good though.
What do you mean
Everybody
it's
was
tough for you?
Good? Okay.
Well, they all keep saying the Cal kid, and I kept saying, no, if you're so high on him, say his name. Like, no, just the Cal kid. That's all you need to know. This Cal kid's dominating. He was the talk of the late night. He was the talk of the late night for sure.
Very late. He wasn't the only one. Did you see Dampier for Utah too? He won for 19 rushing touchdowns last year in New Mexico.
Are y'all going to Oklahoma Saturday, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was the talk. Like, you get Mateer and you get his offensive coordinator and you package them up. Utah did the same thing. It was just they went to New Mexico and got the coordinator and the quarterback combo, and no one really paid attention to it. Utah looks like the best team in the Big 12. Like, they went out there and just balled out. Yeah. Everyone saw Whittingham lose 1 year, and they said, oh, he's done. Ride his Harley off into the sunset. Maybe he'll retire. And he's like, no, I think I'm going to stick with it a few more years. I don't really feel like retiring yet. I'm going to go get a coordinator and a quarterback from New Mexico, and I'm going to be right back in the picture. And they are.
Yeah, I mean, they're in West Virginia's conference, and Arizona State obviously has got to do what they got to do. And let's not even talk about the Cougs, which are right down the road. That's going to be quite a battle. But he was awesome to watch. Where did it start? The Incarnate Word, right? Didn't their OC and quarterback get hired first?
Yeah, and then I believe, where did they go?
Was that Washington State with Cam?
Washington State, and then they went down there. And then last year with Diego Pavia, that worked out really well for Vandy. It's happened. Did UTSA bring someone up to Oregon too? Or
it's NIL, but for the OC as well.
It's genius.
Yes.
Yeah, it's well, it looks like you've done a pretty good job, Donner. Congratulations.
Welcome to the big league.
Come on up here. It's like what the Knicks were doing to everybody else in the NBA, but happening in big-time college ball versus small-time college teams. You got to watch yourself. You can't even develop your coordinators too good.
I know.
They'll be gone.
I love it.
You can't let them talk.
It's the best move in college football.
Yeah, these things like to gossip.
Yeah, these things like to gossip. These things like to hang out. You can't let them hang out. You got to
keep them isolated in their caves.
Yeah, keep them away from each other.
Keep them in their caves.
They'll start talking and they'll leave you together.
All right, Josh, we appreciate you, man. Congrats on the ESPN shit. More of the world needs to see you. You're good at what you do, and you obviously love ball, so we appreciate that.
You know I appreciate you, man. Anytime. I appreciate you having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Pate.
You want this, you got that.